everyone, welcome back. My name is Morgan. This is my channel Pisces Paperbacks, and today I'm starting another weekend reading vlog because I have a 3-day weekend. Monday is Juneteenth, so I'm going to be trying to read as much as I can this weekend, and I wanted to tell you what I'm in the middle of and what I'm planning to try and read. I am 22% into the audiobook of Satisfaction Guaranteed by Karelia Stetz-Waters. This is a sapphic contemporary romance about Cade and Selena. Cade is like the uptight accountant type, and Selena is very free-spirited. She works at a sex toy store, and you know, it's just very opposites attract type thing. So the plot of this is that Cade's aunt and Selena's boss and good friend who owned the sex toy store passes away and leaves it to them 50-50. The store is in a lot of debt and they have 1 month to try and like recoup those losses, and if they can, then they both inherit both the store and this really, really nice house that the aunt owned. And it's okay so far. I'm definitely not... Elsa, can you please get a grip? I'm not loving it. I've already gotten very frustrated with the characters in a couple different instances. I'm just waiting to see like how it's gonna play out, you know what I mean? But I don't see this becoming a favorite, although some people that I really like and follow really enjoy this book, so maybe I just have to wait it out and see. So this is what I'm listening to right now. The other book I'm in the middle of is Harrow the 9th. I've only made a little bit more progress since we last spoke. I'm up to page 100 exactly, so I think I've read like 20 pages since we last spoke, but I love this book. It's wild because I'm reading it and it's as if I've never read it before. Like, I know what's gonna happen, but at the same time I'm processing things I've never understood before. So I'm very excited to read this. I'm gonna try and definitely get some physical reading in tomorrow. The things I plan on reading, I also have the audiobook for A Restless Truth by Freya Marske. This is the second book in the Marvelous Light series, which I read the first one in February and I adored it. It's one of my favorite books I've read so far this year, like no competition really. So I'm so excited to get to this. This is a sequel. It's continuing the overarching plot. So it's not quite a series that you can, like a series of standalones that romances often have where you can read them out of order. You can't really do that with this series. There is an overarching fantasy plot that I think people who really enjoy fantasy will love. I like fantasy, I love romance. I'm so excited for A Restless Truth, although I couldn't tell you what the plot is. I just know that it's about the younger sister of one of the characters in the first book. So, sapphic, gay, love. Then I also want to read The Taking of Jake Livingston. I'm in a romance moment, and I just want to make sure I'm keeping in the spooky stuff because I've really been vibing with that lately. So this is, I think it's a possession story. I think it's about Jake Livingston, and there was a school shooting at his school, and now the ghost of the perpetrator, who I believe committed suicide, is now haunting him. He's a medium, he sees ghosts, but this is like something that he's not encountered before. So I'm very interested in this. It is also gay. I'm just in a great mood. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. I have a date today and a date tomorrow, so we'll see how they go. They're with different people, so we'll see. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye! Also, the bangs ended up being a little shorter than I anticipated, but I think they look better now that I've like washed my hair and kind of fluffed it up. So hopefully this is fine. Hello, I'm back several hours later in the same spot, and I wanted to give you an update. I finished the audiobook for Satisfaction Guaranteed, and I just didn't love this. It has good reviews from people that I follow and like, and just like other people as well. Maybe I'm the problem, but I spent this whole book being annoyed. It was just like a long eye roll for me, basically. It didn't do anything wrong, really, so I could give it a 3, but I'm like, on Goodreads, a 3 is I liked it. A 4 is I really liked it. A 5 is I loved it. And 2 is it was okay. And the best I can say about this book is, like, it was okay and it annoyed me a lot. I really did not enjoy this. I also didn't particularly like the narration, so that didn't help either. But I am happily going to move on. I'm still reading Harrow the Ninth, so that's just going to be in the background this whole weekend. But I did get the audiobook for The Taking of Jake Livingston, so I'm either going to start that or Restless Truth. I went to the Institute of Contemporary Art. I got back a couple hours ago, and it was, I just don't know if I am smart enough to appreciate contemporary art. It wasn't like the type of museum where you can, like, talk about the art while you're consuming it. One of them was a series of short films in different environments. It's like 2 large showcases that changed throughout the year. And then the other one was a soundscape where it's recordings of dancing and audio descriptions of dancing in, like, a dark, silent room other than the audio. So it just, to me, doesn't promote that much conversation. We got coffee after, which was fun, but I did not enjoy the art museum that we went to, unfortunately. It is impressive, but to me it wasn't, like, my favorite type of art to consume. Anyway, I still had a nice day. It's beautiful outside, and I'm just gonna chill. I'm just gonna make some dinner. Let's go. Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday now, and I ended up not reading anything last night. I was just hanging out. I ended up going to bed pretty early, so you know, it is what it is. But I have started this morning the audiobook for it, A Restless Truth by Freya Marske. So I should give you a little info about what this book is about. So this is the sequel to A Marvelous Light, which is a historical fantasy romance that I read earlier this year that I absolutely adored. And in that, you follow 2 men as they are investigating this kind of political conspiracy to discover this hidden magical contract. So this book follows the younger sister of one of the main characters in the first book. Her name is Maud, and she wants to go on adventures and do something important, and in order to help her brother with this whole thing that's going on from the first book, she has become the companion of an older woman who's kind of involved with the magic stuff. In the very first chapter of this book, Maud and the woman that she is the companion of are on a ship sailing from New York back to England, and the older woman is killed in her room. So Maud is now on this boat with all these strangers investigating, like, who is the magician on board who killed this older woman and who has stolen this piece of the contract. So it's kind of mystery investigation. I know that it's a sapphic romance, and I'm just like, I'm very excited. I'm planning on tidying up around my house a little bit. I need to do my dishes really bad. And then I'm just gonna hang out today, go to Knitting Circle, vibe. Join me. So I'm cleaning up, I'm tidying, I'm clearing up the floor so I can vacuum, and I found my little pride flag from Pride and I taped it to my mirror. That's cute. That is very cute. I love that. So, hanging out here with Marske. Nobody's saying anything about how much dog hair is all over me and my sheets. It's just my life. Anyway, I'm probably 4 hours into the audiobook for A Restless Truth, and I wanted to give you a little update. The main character, Maud, she's a side character in the first book, so I was familiar with her, but you don't really get too much of her personality, and she seems to just be like an earnestly good person who is just very good at getting people to tell her things, not even lying or manipulating. She just like is curious and friendly and stubborn and can kind of get her way in a very charming way. I really like her. And then the other seemingly main character is a woman named Violet, and she comes from a family, she's British as well, but she's been living in New York working in theaters for the past few years, and a distant aunt has left her all of her money in inheritance, and so Violet's family has kind of brought her back on this ship back to England to see if when she gets the money, if she'll give it to them or agree to like marry her cousin to keep the money in the family, because she hates her family and is determined to be a scandal. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Maud is kind of having some realizations about her feelings regarding romance and women, and it's very sweet as well. I really like her. I really like Violet, and I'm having a good time. So Elsa's here too. She's down there. She likes to lie down on like my knees. Hello, it is like almost 9 o'clock now, and I wanted to give you a little update. I am like 43% into A Restless Truth, and I believe we're about to have 42% in, and we're about to have our first sexual encounter or intimate encounter between Violet and Maud. I do have to say, I'm enjoying the book, absolutely. I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. I think it's, you know, mysterious, whatever. I don't know that I'm loving the romantic dynamic between them. The dynamic in this is like young ingenue, you know, virginal inexperience, which is Maud, and then Violet is kind of playing the role of like experienced rake, or she's kind of scandalous, right? And I just wish Violet was like older, because I feel like right now a lot of her experiencedness is kind of being played up as like her hard shell defensiveness, and like kind of her version of defensiveness being like this outgoing flirt, which is, you know, common. It's not an unknown trope, but I feel like I just wish, you know, like in high school movies where there's like the catty senior girls who like pretend they're so grown up, but it's like you're only like 1 or 2 years older than the main character, and you're like, that's so annoying. It feels like that. It feels like Violet is only a couple years older than Maud and pretending to have like so much more worldly experience, which she does, but she's like playing it up to like, oh, I'm so, and you're just, you know, you need someone to show you, that kind of vibe, which is also not the dynamic. Maud is pursuing Violet, but it's just like kind of annoying me. So I'm just gonna keep listening, see how it goes. I'm probably gonna finish up reading the audiobook for today in a little bit, and then read more of Harrow so that I can get some of that in today. Hopefully get to page like 200. Slow and steady. Physical reading has been a struggle basically since the moment I discovered audiobooks, so that makes sense why it's taking me so long to get through that. So yes, that's the update. Good morning, my loves and doves. It is about 11 a.m. on Monday, and I've basically woke up at like 5 a.m. My dog needed to go outside, and she knows to wake me up when she needs to go outside if it's an emergency, even though she's very good at holding it. She's never had like an accident in the house, but I've been up since 5. I took a nap, and I from 6:45 to like 7:45, but it was definitely an earlier wake-up call than I was anticipating. Anyway, and then I got really sad. Yesterday was obviously Father's Day. I was fine yesterday, and then for some reason, the day after Father's Day, overcome with unbearable sadness. So I kind of just did that this morning while listening to A Restless Truth. So I am over the halfway point, and I definitely am enjoying it. This book, I'm just going to say it now, it's not going to be a 5-star, which A Marvelous Light was, so I was really hoping that Restless Truth would also be a 5-star, but I'm really enjoying like the plot and investigation, and less so the romance, which I've said before. Even though I still really like it, and I'm sure by the end I'll be like 1 over, it's definitely like a 4.5, but it's just not perfection like the first book was. So I'm really enjoying it though. Violet is growing on me now that we're finally like learning a little bit more about her. She like purposely has walls up and doesn't really talk about her feelings, history, family, etc. So like you don't know anything about her, but we're finally learning more about her, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. I still really like Maud. She just seems so young, even though she's 19, which is so young, but she's, you know, coming into her own, growing as a person. And there's also, I forgot what his name is, one of the main secondary characters is briefly featured in the first book in one scene, and he's a major secondary character in this book, and he's going to be one of the leads in the third book, and I'm really, really enjoying him. I love getting to learn more about him, and understand him more as a character, because in the first book he's really just a douchebag, but in this book you're learning, you know, he's softening, you're getting to see a little bit behind his defenses, so that's very cute. My plan is to wash my face, get dressed, and then maybe like go read Harrow the Ninth in a coffee shop for a little bit. So that's the plan. Wish me luck, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Okay, I just want to add, we've gotten to like the third sex scene, and it's finally, in my opinion, a good one. Not that the first two were bad, but there was just sort of like this emotional distance. So they weren't particularly sexy to me, even though they were fine sex scenes. I'm loving this one, so I'm retracting that complaint. They had to get more emotionally close, and now it's successful for me. So I'm enjoying this book. I think I'm like 70-something% in. I might not even, I'll bring Harrow, but I might like bring knitting and like knit and listen to my audiobook while I'm out instead of read Harrow. I don't know. I'm really enjoying this. And if I decide that I want to listen to audiobooks, once I finish this, I am just going to start the audiobook for The Taking of Jake Livingston, because that is an 8-hour audiobook, so I could probably finish it today. Hello, it is a little bit later. It's like 7 o'clock. I wanted to give you the update. So I was at the coffee shop until like 3 o'clock. According to Apple Maps, it's open until 8, but they closed at 3, so I had to be asked to leave, which was humiliating, but it was fine. She was very nice about it. I finished A Restless Truth, and I loved the ending. I definitely think this is like a 4-star book. I really like how the future of the relationship is handled at the end, especially since Maud is so young. She's 19 in this book. I really, really, really liked how that happened, and I'm so excited for the third one. Like, getting to know more about Hawthorne, he's the character I was talking about earlier. In this, I'm so excited. It's going to be so good. I know that the ebook is available for request on NetGalley, so I'm thinking about doing that, but I listened to the audiobooks of the first two, and I really enjoyed the audiobooks for both of them. I thought they were both really well done, so like, I don't know. But I'm also 2 chapters into The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas, so I wanted to tell you what this is about. So as far as I can tell from the first chapter and the synopsis, mostly the synopsis, this book is about Jake. He is someone who can see ghosts. He is basically constantly seeing the last moments of people's lives stuck in loops all around him. And I guess over time, the loops fade until the ghosts, the spirits or whatever, eventually pass on. And so what I believe is going to happen is that in the year before, there was a school shooting at a high school nearby where he lives, and the shooter took his own life afterwards. So I believe the spirit of the shooter is going to try and use Jake to like enact his plans from beyond the grave. So that is that, and it's definitely going to be dark, but I'm not hating it so far. I mean, I'm only 2 chapters in, but I know that there is 2 audiobook narrators, because the first chapter is from Jake's perspective, but the second chapter is from the perspective of the school shooter. So 2 different narrators, 2 different perspectives. I'm very interested in reading this. It is a 7-hour and like 40-minute audiobook, so if I listen to it on 2 times speed, I can probably finish it today, which would be good because I'll be listening to a spooky book as it gets dark. So that's the plan. Just hang out around my apartment. I have to take my trash out because they're picking up the trash tomorrow, and believe it or not, it does make it less stressful when you don't wait until the morning of to do it. It's a lesson I've learned the hard way, so I'm trying to do it the night before now. One thing I want to say before I forget is that despite being set completely on a boat, which I like kind of like a limited setting kind of vibe, so they couldn't physically explore the rest of the magical world, I think A Restless Truth did a really good job like building on the lore and expanding the world of the series, because you learn so much more and it feels so like, to me at least, naturally integrated into the plot. So I just can't wait for the third one. Okay, I'm 30% in to The Taking of Jake Livingston. Actually, let me get the book. I have to say, it's a pretty short book. It's less than 250 pages, but it starts really fast. Like, there's really 1 chapter before it begins, so you don't really get a sense of what Jake's, like, day-to-day life is like, because immediately terrible things are happening. Like, he walks into his house and the ghost of the school shooter has written his initials on the wall of the house in blood. That's like the chapter 4, you know? So it just feels like there's not much of an escalation. It's just immediately bad for him, you know what I mean? So that makes it, the tension is still there, but part of, I feel like the tension of stuff like this is like you see the negative difference that is happening. Like, I guess I would comp this to like Paranorman. Not really, not in tone at all, but in Paranorman you get like a full day of Norman's life before the whatever starts happening. This, it's like half of a school day and then he gets home and immediately like things are starting to be bad. So I just feel like it's a bit abrupt, but I'm not disliking it. I feel like it's escalating at a pretty steady rate. I don't love Sawyer's perspective chapters as much just because I know that they're backstory, but it just feels like they're stalling like whatever's happening. I wish they happened a little less frequently. They're not quite every other chapter, I think, but because I'm listening to audio, so it's a little hard to tell. They're not quite every other chapter, but they're pretty frequent, and I feel like I wish they were slightly less frequent. But that's it so far. Almost 30% in. It's going pretty fast. I know I said that I was going to just listen to The Taking of Jake Livingston until I was done the audiobook, but I've gotten to a scene that makes me so uncomfortable. I have to stop listening to it for the night. Like, I need a night to be able to like process my feelings, to be able to listen to it and move past it. I'll probably end up fast forwarding through it a little bit, but I can't listen to it right now. I would scream. So I'm just gonna watch YouTube videos and go to sleep, and I'll just continue this vlog until I finish Jake Livingston, and then I'll wrap this up, so I'll see you tomorrow. I've decided that I don't need to wait until I finish The Taking of Jake Livingston to finish this vlog, because it was supposed to be a weekend vlog, and now it's Wednesday, and I still haven't finished it. So I'm just going to wrap the vlog up now and talk about the 2 books I finished and the other 2 that I either started or continued. So let's get into it. Firstly, I finished Satisfaction Guaranteed. Unfortunately, this was like a 2-star. I didn't enjoy this. You've seen me not enjoy it. I'm probably going to keep it around, and then what I'll do is, like, at the end of every year, unhaul all the books I didn't like from that year, instead of doing, like, as it goes, because, like, what if I want to talk about this later in terms of, like, books I didn't like this year? So I'm going to keep this around, but it's going to be out of my house eventually. And then I read A Restless Truth by Freya Marske. This is the 2nd book in the Last Binding trilogy. The world, obsessed. The overarching plot, obsessed. The mystery in this book, really, really loved it. The side characters, really, really loved it. The main characters, liked them individually. The weak point in this book, for me, and for other people, as I've seen in reviews and stuff, because I was checking just to make sure that I wasn't, like, the odd one out, is the romance. Unfortunately, the romance just, like, doesn't resonate, which sucks because the one in the first book is so genuine and vulnerable feeling, and I just think that it is the particular tropes and like archetypes that this particular pairing was kind of playing with, and while eventually I think it got there, it just didn't go all the way emotionally for me, which, you know, it's whatever. So I gave this book like 4 stars, but I'm gonna buy a copy for myself, and I need to buy a copy for the first book too. I'm just waiting until the 2nd book comes out in paperback, because I want to get all 3 in paperback. So excited for the 3rd one. So excited. Then I started The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas, and I'm still only like 35% in. I haven't really read much more since we last spoke. While this is what I expected in terms of like plot and content, the style of it is not quite what I was expecting. It feels very dreamlike and almost disorienting. It honestly, I've been thinking about it, it kind of reminds me of the vibe of Catherine House, but like not in any other way. So I'm still gonna read it. I'll let you know what I think at the end of month wrap up, and I'm excited to finish the audiobook. And then last night I actually did finally read another like 40 and 50 pages of Harrow the Ninth. I'm at page 176 now, and I really like this book. I don't usually reread series before reading the new books. Like, I think this is the first time I've ever done that, but it's absolutely necessary for me. I feel like this is a book that you could read 20 times and discover something new every time, and I am reading it for a 2nd time and discovering basically the plot because I missed a lot of stuff the first time. So I am absolutely adoring this, and I read it last night while I was on a video call with my brother. We were reading together over the phone. And it was exciting because he had just finished Gideon the Ninth yesterday. So he already requested Harrow and Nona from his library. I'm so excited. He was like, yeah, as I read it, I totally saw why you liked it. It was exactly your sense of humor. And I'm like, I know, this book is me, it's mine. So I'm so happy to be reading this one again and just to be back in the world. So that is what I've been reading, what I've been up to, my nice little stack. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!